All right, Mr. Cook, are we ready to film the iPhone 14 event now? Good morning, camera department. I'm so excited to talk about how the iPhone is the best camera we've ever made. That's right, because it's supposed to have 8K recording and stuff like that. That makes it really, really good. That's right, cameraman, because we know that the best camera is the one you have with you. That's why I'm so grateful I have this camera with me. In fact, you know what? I think we should consider filming the iPhone 14 event on the iPhone 14 itself. How cool would that be? All right, I'm just getting a little test shot of what it's gonna look like. Do you see this bokeh effect? Do you see that dynamic range? Oh my god, that looks so much better. Yeah, never mind. You know, we keep filming like 4 or 5 of these dang events every single year. Wouldn't it be cool if you guys kind of bought Blackmagic or started making your own cameras or that kind of thing? No, we just want to make the iPhone camera even better. Yeah, but you still want me to film on this camera, right? Because it's like way better. In fact, none of the shows that we advertise on Apple TV Plus are shot on iPhone either. No, yeah, of course, we want to look professional, so just go ahead and start rolling. Alrighty then, I hope no one writes news articles about us starting filming this. Let's begin. Alright, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who has a fairly reputable track record, especially with Apple event dates in recent history. A lot of the time, he would throw out a weird date that doesn't sound right, and he would end up being right. And he's saying that the new iPhone 14 event is going to take place on September 7th, which is a bit weird, which explains some of the voice cracking on my end, because pretty much all iPhone announcements were almost always done on a Tuesday. In fact, they were nearly always done on the second Tuesday of September. So I had kind of a map in my head of how I thought the event was going to go. And if you're wondering, Drew, you've been wrong a lot. Do you really want to put yourself on the record so that you can instantly showcase how you're wrong on a timeline in just 3 weeks? Yeah, you'd be absolutely correct. So I'm gonna disagree with Mark Gurman on this one. I don't know what sources he has, and they're probably a lot more reputable than my sources because I have none. But just looking in the past at how Apple has always loved to have this like second Tuesday of September release cycle, I don't think it's quite gonna be ready by September 7th. And he said they don't want to announce it on September 6th, which would be typical because it's a Tuesday, because it's the day after Labor Day. I don't know why that disqualifies it, but I still think it's far more likely to be on the second Tuesday of September as usual, which would be the 13th. Maybe that's an unlucky number, so Apple doesn't want to have it on the 13th, but now is the time of year that's always a good reminder to tell people of the S release cycle with pretty much iPhone season every single year. First off, you get your event announcement, which is typically around 1 week, sometimes less, before the event officially takes place. So, assuming Mark Gurman is right, because he probably is, they would announce the event at the end of August. So maybe on the 31st or even on the 30th, they would say, okay, Apple's gonna have a special online event on September 7th at 10 a.m. Pacific, and then the pre-order process would start the following Friday. So I think in this case, that would be September 9th, probably at 5 a.m. in the morning, and then official deliveries of the iPhone 14 and the Apple Store launches would be a week after that on September 16th. So that's a pretty quick release in my opinion, especially with all of the supply chain issues we've been hearing about and shuffling between different components and stuff. I would feel like Apple would, if anything, want to push the iPhone 14 further out, not up. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and ruin my already terrible track record and say I think Apple's going to announce the event on September 6th, and it'll take place on the 13th, and then pre-orders will begin on September 16th with deliveries and the Apple Store launch on September 23rd. That just sounds more right to me, because typically iPhone season spreads out all of those major iPhone events throughout the month and doesn't try to cram them all in the first couple weeks. And there's another thing I partly disagree with him on, and I've seen him be wrong on this last year, so there might be a little bit of a chance of this happening, but in years prior, Apple has pretty much always refreshed the budget iPad alongside the new iPhones. It kind of makes for this perfect trio of an event. You have the brand new iPhone 14, you have the Apple Watch Series 8 and Series 8 Pro. Pro stands for profit. And then you also have an updated budget iPad. So it's like the best-selling watch in the world, the best-selling phone in the world, and the best-selling tablet in the world, all launching at the same event. But maybe that's too much competing media, and maybe the iPad 10th generation is such a big deal that Apple wants to push it off. But Mark Gurman is saying that that 10th generation budget iPad we've been hearing about with USB-C and the squared-off edge design and Apple Pencil 2 support, that'll be at an October event with the M2 iPad Pro. Pros, and perhaps some new Macs launching later in the year. And I don't know, I just have never seen Apple launch the budget iPad and the Pro iPads at the same time. There's always a first for everything, so I could be wrong here, but similar to how last year a lot of people were not expecting the iPad mini to drop with the new iPhones, I think the budget iPad is probably more ahead of schedule than people realize because it's such a basic device and it's not really using any game-changing hardware or game-changing technology. So Apple has kind of turned that budget iPad into an annual refresh thing, even during 2020 where all of their supply chains were screwed up and the release cycles had to be delayed. They still dropped the budget iPad in September alongside the Apple Watches. So you should probably trust Mark. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys because he has a lot better track record than I do. But just looking at Apple's history and what they've done previously, I think it makes far more sense that we're going to get the budget iPad next month and then an iPad Pro / Mac event in October. I feel like those products kind of overlap a lot more. Like the tech enthusiast community would be interested in the new Mac Pro or the new Pro display, and also they'd be interested in an M2 equipped iPad Pro that's going to have some software restrict features you can't get on your M1 iPad Pro. Sorry, still a little salty. I gotta work on that in counseling. But trying to stuff in the budget iPad, which is meant for like students and kids and grandparents, and trying to announce that alongside your Pro iPad that's probably going to be like $900, $1,200 and your like $10,000 Mac Pro. I feel like even though they're both iPads, they don't really go together that much. Whereas the iPhone event is meant for more everyday consumers because that's their bread and butter. Tons of people buy iPhones. Even non-techie people will buy Pro iPhones because, ooh, shiny! But of course, if there's any more last-minute leaks or rumors surrounding the iPhone 14 or the new Apple Watches or new iPads, I'll be covering them for you here. And now you guys are up to date on how we could be 3 weeks away from Apple's next event. Boy, time flies. And I hate saying that now because I just think of the old disappointing Apple event every time. Let me know when you guys think the Apple event will take place next month in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.